we don't have an agenda of influence. If we have influence, it is peripheral.
Yeah.
And I don't imagine that people who watch the show are watching it to make up their minds in terms of who they think would best prosecute the war on terror. I think they watch to see who would maybe have the best jokes on the war on terror.
But no, here's where I think I've been on a show a couple of times. I mean, you obviously make fun of everybody. I'm making fun of your show now, but you get everybody.
We are, in fact, crass and immature.
But you are a show that your target audience is younger, left-leaning, so you have to play to the choir sometimes. But
the real estate is younger just because it's Comedy Central.
And it's at 11 o'clock at night.
I don't know if it's left-leaning. I mean, would you suggest that that blue-collar TV show that does all the, like Foxworthy and all that, you'd consider that a red state show? It's Foxworthy and Bill Engvall.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They're our lead-in on Monday nights, and there's really no difference between...
Okay, but even so, younger people tend to be a little bit more,
Now, when you say younger, you're talking 9, 10? What are we talking here?
I'm talking about 18 to 25,
Done.
The people who are on your intellectual level.
Thank you.
They seek that.
Yes.
They
know the
you do
lingo.
ask some serious questions, too.
Very, very rarely, every now and again.
Well, you asked me why I was such a bad person, didn't you, or something like that? Wasn't that a serious question?
Did I ask you why you were a bad person?
Yeah, I think so.
No,
why are you the scum of the earth, O'Reilly? I think that's the way you put it.
No, I wouldn't have put it that way. I think I would have done it, why do you have such je ne sais quoi?
Yeah, something...
Since taking over Comedy Central's The Daily Show in 1999, Jon Stewart has become one of the most prominent men in the country. Time magazine has listed him as one of the most influential people in the world, and in 2009 conducted a poll in which he came out as the most trusted anchor running. He's been recognized as a source of honest information by the Obama White House and the National Council of Teachers of English, and to date has published 3 novels, starred in numerous feature films, and has been a keynote speaker at Princeton University, Hamilton College, and William and Mary. Born Jonathan Stewart Leibowitz on November 28, 1962, to Marion and Donald Leibowitz, he and his family moved from New York City to Lawrenceville, New Jersey, shortly after his birth. Growing up next to his brother Larry, who would go on to become the chief operating officer of the New York Stock Exchange, he attended Lawrence High School, where he first became interested in politics, he says. In 1984, he graduated from the College of William Mary with a major in psychology. After working as a contingency planner with the New Jersey Department of Human Services, a puppeteer for disabled children, a caterer, a busboy, a shelf stalker, and a bartender, he finally moved to his early hometown of New York City to strike it big as a stand-up comic. He spent 2 years working late nights at comedy clubs, perfecting his style of neurotic comedy. In 1989, he landed his first television job, writing for Caroline's Comedy Hour. 2 years later, he was co-hosting Comedy Central's short attention span theater. By the next year, he was hosting a short-lived MTV show called You Wrote It, You Watch It. Although minor, it was enough to almost land him a job replacing David Letterman. The slot would be filled by Conan O'Brien. Jon Stewart's future show, The Daily Show, started in 1996 around the same time, hosted by Craig Kilborn, but without the politics. After the show ended its run in 1995, Jon Stewart took the backseat again, appearing in a handful of HBO comedy specials before being chosen to replace Craig Kilborn as host of The Daily Show. Working with head writer Ben Carlin, the former editor of satirical newspaper The Onion, writing together, Stewart and Carlin shifted the zany skits of The Daily Show to a more socio-politically relevant edge, and just in time for the controversial presidential elections of 2000. Former Daily Show correspondent Stephen Colbert recalls this period as the time the show finally found its footing. Their big break came with the 2004 presidential election, in which more viewers, male and aged 18 to 34, tuned in than to Nightline, Meet the Press, and Hannity and Colmes. Further studies began to roll in that people watching The Daily Show tended to be more informed of what was going on in the world. Former Senator John Edwards announced his candidacy on the show in late 2003, and Senator John Kerry came on for a full interview, the first time such a thing had happened in the history of broadcast television. Stewart's newfound status as an honest journalist was solidified after a fiery appearance on CNN's show Crossfire, where he accused the hosts of hurting America through partisan hackery. His words were later cited by CNN President John Klein as reasons why the show was canceled. Since then, Stewart has helped to launch the career of fellow comedic journalist Stephen Colbert, won 13 Emmy Awards, 2 Peabody Awards, and pulls in well over 2 million views every night. He has interviewed President Barack Obama numerous times over the course of the 2008 election and his current presidency, the majority of former President Bush's staff, including Donald Rumsfeld recently, King Abdullah II, Vice President Biden, former Prime Ministers Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, former President Jimmy Carter and his wife Rosaline, former President Clinton and his wife Secretary Clinton, 26 different U.S. senators, former and current, the last 3 mayors of New York City, Reverend Al Sharpton, Howard Stern, NBC's Tom Brokaw, CBS's Katie Couric, MSNBC's Rachel Maddow, Michael Moore, Bill O'Reilly, White House correspondent Helen Thomas, The View's Barbara Walters, NBC's Brian Williams, former Daily Show correspondent Steve Carell, Cameron Diaz, Harrison Ford, Colin Firth, Samuel L. Jackson, Dustin Hoffman, Ricky Gervais, Heath Ledger, John Malkovich, Sir Ian McKellen, Natalie Portman, Dave Grohl, Justin Bieber, Slash, Bruce Springsteen, Ringo Starr, Neil Young, Bill Gates, and Kurt Vonnegut. Jon Stewart continues to push himself, in the last year holding a mock political rally with Stephen Colbert called the Rally to Restore Sanity and/or Keep Fear Alive, to which 215,000 people attended. His latest book, Earth, spent 10 weeks on the New York Times bestsellers list, spending 4 as number 1. Jon Stewart has warped the idea of journalism for the new generation, and has pushed the limits of what satire can accomplish in society.